Hello friends, my name is Julie and I'm the owner of Red-Tailed Farm. Today I just wanted to give you a little backstory into who I am and how I got here. See, I've been a lot of things in my life, but the one constant has been my strong affinity for animals. Since as far back as I can remember, I wanted to learn as much as I could about any type of animal. Farm animals, wildlife, you name it. I collected as many books as I could. I had a whole series of how-to guides for taking care of different farm animals, pigs, dairy goats, sheep. I watched all the nature shows on PBS. I was super into horses, so I took riding lessons. I would rope my dad into taking me to various farms and zoos and nature centers and aquariums and anywhere I could learn about animals and wildlife and biology. I just wanted to soak it all up. I was always really drawn to farming and the rural life, but growing up in the suburbs, I didn't really see a clear career path to that. Somewhere along the line, I decided I wanted to pursue veterinary medicine instead. So in high school, I started volunteering at a local veterinary hospital to get some experience, and I chose to go to Michigan State University mainly because they had a really good vet school. There, I studied animal science. I got my bachelor's in animal science. That was awesome. The university has a ton of farms on their campus, so it was a very hands-on education as well as a broad range of sciences. So I learned about animal behavior, genetics, nutrition, physiology, endocrinology, cell biology, biochemistry. I ended up not applying to vet school. I quickly got a job in research instead. I wanted to make a little bit of money after being a poor college student for so long. For the next 18 months, I worked at that small contract lab in Michigan. After that, I was recruited by the pharmaceutical giant Pfizer to go work for them. So I started there in small molecule toxicology. After a while there, that research center was closed down by the company, and I was offered the opportunity to relocate, and I chose to pursue a job in the UK. So I started in small molecule development in allergy and respiratory drugs, but quickly moved to the vaccine research department, and that's where I worked the bulk of my career. So I lived for about 3 years in the UK. That was a great experience. I got to see Europe. I wouldn't have had that opportunity otherwise. And I really liked the type of work I was doing. My career was advancing. I was getting promotions regularly. I was getting a lot of respect among my colleagues. I enjoyed the work. I felt like I was making progress in my project, so it was rewarding in itself. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. So after some time in the UK, I was again relocated back to the US, this time to California, the San Diego area. About the time I knew that transition was probably going to happen, I really started reading some of those old farming books again, and I picked up some new ones, including You Can Farm by Joel Salatin. And it really opened my eyes to the possibility that maybe small-scale, ethical, ecologically sound farming could work. I had accrued a little bit of savings. I was stable financially because of my job. And I felt like this move to California offered a new opportunity to try out some of the things that I'd always wanted to do. When I finally moved to California, I rented a house with about a half acre of space so I could have a garden, and more importantly, I could have chickens. I also had a couple turkeys, and that was super fun. I really, really enjoyed that. I felt like I was finally doing what I wanted to. The problem was that while I was at work, I was thinking about what I could be doing in my garden and the time I could be spending with my chickens, and realized that's really where I wanted to be. So I continued my work in research in California for the next few years, knowing that my heart wasn't really into it. I started to formulate a plan of how I could make farming my career. I was lucky enough to stumble upon a website that offered internships, and internships that were based on educating new farmers. I scrolled through those and found a few I liked and sent out some applications. I started to make plans to make farming more of a career. I made sure I paid off all my debt. I started putting away a lot more towards savings. I started minimalizing my life, getting rid of a lot of things I didn't need. I also started telling everybody I know, including my boss at Pfizer, that this was my plan, that I was likely going to leave the company in the next 6 months. I was lucky enough to secure a place at the Green String Institute, which is in Sonoma County, California. It is a gorgeous, picturesque place to live, which is one of the reasons I chose it. Also, it focused largely on education, and education revolving around vegetable production and soil ecology, and a lot of well-rounded farming skills that I thought would be useful. The farm and institute are located on, I think, a 600-acre property, and a lot of that is in organic vegetable production, and then a large portion of it is also in vineyard. The beginning of our day as interns there was spent working in the fields, and then in the afternoon we had classroom time, which consisted of sitting around a table learning about the science of farming, or it was spent in the wood shop learning how to fix and make tools, or learning how to drive a tractor or run a chainsaw, or how to put in a raised bed, or how to amend the soil properly. It was super educational. It was a fantastic experience. I wouldn't trade my time there for the world. It really was the first time I felt like I was where I needed to be. After my time at the Green String Institute, I moved on to a sheep dairy. I really was interested in dairy and cheese making, and they had an on-site creamery and were making some fantastic cheeses. Plus, I was really interested in sheep at this point. I had kind of decided that I wanted that to be my focus. So it seemed like a great fit. That farm was located in Washington State, another beautiful location. I learned all about the dairy business. I learned how hard it is to make a good cheese and do that consistently, and what an art form that is, and that I did not want to do that for a living. But it's still something that I do as a hobby, especially now that I milk my own goats. Again, that was another great experience, especially since I learned a lot about sheep husbandry there. After that, I moved clear across the country to North Carolina and took a 1-year apprenticeship at Fickle Creek Farm. And Fickle Creek is a diverse livestock farm with a lot of big gardens. They're using agroforestry. It's run by 2 PhD scientists, former professors. So it seemed like a perfect fit. These seemed like the right sort of people to teach me how to do what I wanted to do. And their business model was how I wanted to run my business. It was a direct-to-consumer business. So I learned a lot about that model. I learned how to be successful at farmers markets, because we were doing those, as well as part of the apprenticeship. That year really solidified what I wanted to do, and it just became a matter of how to get there. Shortly after I began my time there, someone else joined us, and he and I became fast friends, realized very quickly that we shared a lot of the same views and shared a lot of the same vision about what sort of farm we wanted to run in the future. So after a lot of talking about it and business planning, we decided to pool resources, and at the end of our apprenticeship, started shopping for land. We decided on the area we wanted to be in, and we're in southeastern North Carolina. We're close to the coast. Our biggest major city is Wilmington, North Carolina, and that is where most of our sales occur. We do farmers markets in the Wilmington area. We were lucky enough to secure a 14-acre property, and it's a big, long property. You'll see a nice aerial shot of it in our farm tour. I'll try to put one in here too as well. It was half pasture, half wooded, which seemed perfect for what we wanted to do. We wanted to raise pigs in the woods, and we wanted to raise ruminants, sheep and goats, on pasture. And we wanted to be able to rotationally graze them. And this property offered both. It also had a livable old farmhouse and several outbuildings that weren't in great shape, but that we could make use of. So we really bootstrapped it for the first few years. We started with a small flock of laying hens, I think 50 hens and 3 pigs. And we slowly figured out our systems. We built a mobile coop out of scraps mainly. We figured out things like where we were going to get our pigs processed. And we slowly started selling to friends and family and getting their feedback about the product. And once we had kind of worked out some of those kinks, we started delving into farmers markets. First small ones, and then pretty quickly we jumped into some bigger markets and found that we did really well. We both connected really well with the customers. It seemed like we were offering products that they wanted. We also got to know our local farmers that way because you're hanging out with everybody while you're doing the market together. During the first few years of the farm, both my partner and I worked off-farm jobs to support what we were doing here. I worked at a local veterinary hospital. That was a great experience. I learned so many valuable skills. I learned about the area and met all the locals in my small town. I really loved that job, and I still to this day take my animals to that vet. Once we really got into the swing of selling at farmers markets and building a loyal customer base, we were able to start paying more of our bills from the farm income. It was at that point that first my partner and then myself, a few months later, were able to quit our off-farm jobs and really focus on the farm. And that's when things really started to grow. We founded this farm in 2015, and in late 2016, I met Daryl. Sometime in 2017, he moved in and quickly started helping out on the farm. He was working a full-time IT professional job at the time, but would help out whenever he could on the farm, and quickly became an integral part of what we do here. In May of 2019, he and I were married. This past year, in 2020, Daryl was also able to quit his job and help out a lot on the farm, which brings us to the present. We get to work together every day. We have our strengths and weaknesses. I get to focus more on managing the business while he gets a lot of the physical labor jobs done. We work really well together, and we love our lifestyle. We decided to start this YouTube channel because we really want to show others that it is possible, even when it seems so unattainable. There are ways to access land. There are great internships and apprenticeships out there for you to learn in the meantime. There are farm manager jobs waiting to be had. While I certainly didn't take a direct path or an easy one to farming, I now know that it's possible, and that's really what I want to share with you. If this is something that you, deep in your heart, really want to do, then you should do it. You should pursue it. And that's the whole point of this channel. I want to maybe inspire some others to look into those possibilities and show them how I did it and show you how it can be done. If you have any questions, we're always here. Feel free to comment below, or I'll put my email in the description. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and remember, you can farm.